Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Not too shabby, man. What about you? How's universe treating
Oh, uh, that life's going on. I'm just having one of those days today. My brand new camera died an hour ago.
you? Oh,
Just bought it. I have this old camera, which is working, um, but it's not really good. I had this other one, it was like high definition. It was beautiful, but it lasted one day and it died.
oh, wow. Sorry to hear that. But as you have a new camera, do you do this kind of thing often, like podcasts and all?
Yeah, I do stuff around the world for different things. And it's funny you got asked today. I'm starting the promotions for my new book, Gopri of the Mist, which is set in India. So.
Which is set in India.
Yeah, it's a dystopian science fiction story about the death of all things, and it's set in India.
Just hold on a moment, Bill. I'll close my window. Lot of background noise. Okay, wow. And I saw that you are a science fiction writer, right?
That's correct.
And how long have you been writing books?
I started getting published back in 2011.
Wow, it's been more than a decade.
Yep.
Wow,
I got my
that's
first novel published in 2016.
got it. And so far, how many books have you written?
I've written eight. One of them, The Brittle Writers, has been named Best Science Fiction Book of 2022 and the Best Dystopian Book of 2025. And
Hmm.
my other book, Splice, was the Best Science Fiction Book of 2020. And so I've won some awards and I've won, got some critics or critical acclaim, and people seem to like it. And one of my books are making it into a movie. So here I am.
Wow, man, can you name that book? Like you are a
Sure, it's
prolific.
called the sure, it's called The Brittle Riders, Brittle Writers.
The Brittle writers.
Riders, like riding a horse.
Okay, writers, got it.
hmm
And that's the movie.
Yeah,
From
we're just starting on it, so it will be probably end of next year.
got it. Okay, here we go. This is alien race called the Sommidates.
Yep, that's the one.
Wow, that's amazing, man. By Bill.
Mhm.
Your name is over here. Yeah.
Yeah, Bill McCormick, that's me.
Wow. Check out my viewers. This is for them. This is your book,
Yeah,
right?
that's my
Oh,
book.
that's great, man. It's an honor to, do this podcast with you.
Cool.
You won't believe this thing. You are the third writer with whom I'm having this podcast. Like prior to this, I met two writers and they are also like quite prolific, just like you.
Good.
The one was, I guess, the lady that she was from the UK and she was into horror type like genre. So she has
hmm
written over 16 to 17 novels.
Wow.
Yeah, but short one, not like the big one.
Yeah, my stuff's big.
Okay.
300 or more pages each of them.
Wow, that's great, man. And what inspired you to write science fiction, particularly?
Um, I was how do I put it? I was going through a divorce and I'd lost my job and I just started getting I had all these ideas for what I wanted to do and I decided now was the time to start writing them and just get them out of my head so I wasn't living with my demons. And so I started writing them and I wrote a story called Vorbless, which got rejected by a company called Bewildering Stories. But the guy wrote a two-page rejection letter saying it was the funniest thing he'd ever read. But his boss was a born-again Christian, and he would be way too offended by what I'd written. So he asked if I had anything else. So I sent him a thing called "And the Beat Goes Phut," spelled Phut, and he
Hmm.
loved that, and everyone loved that, and it got released and started my career as a science fiction writer.
Wow. And apart from writing books, what else do you do? Like in your
I
spare?
like to I like to cook. I'm actually a pretty good cook. I teach Sunday school at our church. Teach
Oh,
the kids,
okay.
and I like that. Other than that, not much. I like spending time with my wife. Just we just got married a couple of years ago, so we're still kind of like newlyweds.
Mhm. Got it. I guess you also try to do the workout. I can see the machine over there.
That's my wife's.
Oh, okay.
I can hardly walk. I have some issues, so.
Okay, got
I,
it.
I, I wheel myself around in my little chair.
Makes sense. And I also see podcasts over there. So is it for you, like the one with the like behind you?
Oh, the light?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, man, nice.
So yeah, I have the lights, and because I discovered the if I have the fan on, it makes the camera go nuts. So I turn all that off and I use backlighting.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. And are you on YouTube as well?
Yeah, I have a YouTube up there, Bill McSci-Fi.
Okay, I'm gonna tag you whenever I upload this podcast. I'm gonna tag you over there.
Perfect.
Yeah. And uh, like some of the science fiction movies that you can recommend, or like I'm not sure whether you are into that or not, as you are a science
I
fiction.
am.
All right.
I am. I'm more of a Star Trek fan than a Star
Mhm.
Wars. My wife loves Star Wars though. Um, but I mean, there's some great science fiction stuff out there. You know, you got the excuse me, you got the animated stuff like Wizards by Ralph Bakshi. Oh, that's an incredible book. Obviously, 2000, 2001, A Space Odyssey is, up there,
Mm,
science fiction
the
movies.
classic one.
Uh, yeah, it is a very classic one. Trying to think. I
What
just
about
saw,
the recent one, the like Inception, Interstellar?
oh, thank you. Both are actually excellent movies. I was drawing a blank on what I've seen lately. Because my wife and I, we like to go to the movies, so sometimes they all start to blur after a while. But yeah, Inception and Interstellar were both very excellent movies.
And the same, like Christopher Nolan came up with this, the one Tenant.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. My wife has. I have not, so
Okay.
I can't comment on it. But Christopher Nolan's never made a bad movie yet, so I probably will
Mhm.
be in for a treat when I see it.
Yeah,
I mean, everything he's does from Batman on up has just always been good.
yeah, it's really like top notch. Every time he set up the the bar.
Yeah.
Nice, nice.
And
And
by the way, no matter what anyone tells you, Avatar is not a science fiction movie. That's just silliness.
why do you feel like that?
Because it's just, it's basically retelling the story of the taking over the Indian territory.
Mm,
And none of the science makes any sense. If these people are 12 feet tall, the gravity on their planet would be almost non-existent. So
mm,
humans would be bouncing around over there. It's like nothing makes any sense. It's just they threw stuff at a wall and went, that's pretty, and they left it there. So it drives me crazy. It's stuff like that, when especially when I write science fiction, but I work with a lot of scientists. And sometimes stuff, like they said, they just recently cloned dire wolves. No, they didn't. They just made a kind of a weird white wolf, the mutant white wolf. Hooray, you've accomplished nothing. Um,
mm.
you know, it's just fake science, and it bothers me because when I write my books, I spend months, weeks, days going over details with scientists and professionals and making sure I have everything right. Even though it may be only a
Oh,
paragraph in the book, that paragraph is 100% right, you
oh.
know?
So you even take the aid of the scientists that well, whether this thing is right or not, whatever I'm jotting it down in my novels.
Yeah. For example, in the Brittle Riders and in Gopri of the Mist, there's these creatures called chimeras and brands. And I said that to create something that was part human, part animal, you'd need 54 chromosomes. And then I met with some geneticists and we actually had a dinner and mapped it out. How would you make someone a human bull? How would you make someone a human a bat? How would you do that? And it's there, and I actually figured all that out.
Like it's quite fascinating that you are deeply, devoted to your towards your work, and you don't want to give out the false information. That's remarkable.
Well, it's a craft, I consider writing a
Hmm.
craft, and just like any craft, you want to be a wood maker, you want to be a butcher, you want to be anything. You have to practice at it. You have to take time to do it right. You have to have the right tools. You know, um,
Yes.
just put it all together. I don't just throw. I don't. I joke that I throw letters at a screen and hope they make words, but I don't really. I put a lot of time and effort into this.
Got it. And who are the authors or the writers that you look up to?
Oh, Octavia Butler is one of my favorites. Walter Miller is another one. Obviously, David Brin, who I've become kind of friends with over the years.
Wow.
He's one. He's an absolutely stunning author. Ian O'Neill, although he does nonfiction, I love his science work, and he does great work with science. Um, Anne McCaffrey, even though people say she's more fantasy, there's a lot of science in her books. Those
Mhm.
rockets don't just magically appear. She figured out how to make those engines work in that story and in that universe. Um, and obviously, you got the Heinlein and Arthur C. Clarke, and you get all the bigs there. But there's a lot of science fiction writers. There's a Japanese lady named Zhu that I've run across a couple of times or Chinese, excuse me, that she writes some really interesting stuff. I'm waiting for her to get some more stuff translated into English because she's like 5, 10 years behind on that. But I guess because there's not a big market for her over here, which is a shame because she's really talented, really interesting. But
Oh.
there's a lot of different writers I like, and people from I like reading stuff from different cultures and stuff because I learn, you know, just little things. You always learn something new.
And as you said that India, like the next novel plot is based in India. So what inspired you to choose India out of all the other countries?
Um, okay. I'd written the Brittle Riders, and a friend of mine, he's an imam from Pakistan,
Mhm.
and he loved the book. And he said, you should do something set in Pakistan and India because this would be great. And he goes, we got all these different animals over here. You could really have a ball doing it. So I wrote about 50, 60 pages and I sent it to him. And I said, is this going to offend everyone over there or are we going to be okay? And he wrote me back. He's like, oh, man, Bill, this is great. You got the right idea. So I started writing it. And it was my intention that Gopri of the Mist would be a sequel to the Brittle Riders. But when Amazon released it in India, they never released the Brittle Riders. They just released Gopri of the Mist. And
Okay.
so people were reading it and they understood the whole story and it was all there. So, okay, I got two standalone stories. You can read Gopri of the Mist, you can read the Brittle Riders, you can read them all. I need the money, read them all. But it was fun to do. It starts off with the death of every man, woman, and child on the planet, and then gets kind of weird.
Wow. Wow. What an amazing plot, man. Wow. Well, what's the name again? I'm gonna buy that book.
Goptri of the Mists,
Okay.
Goptri.
Hmm. I'll ping you later and kindly
No
share
problem.
the books of yours with me, or I'll check it in your profile.
Yeah, see if I can talk.
What are the pros and cons of being a writer, Bill?
Oh, the pros is I can kill someone and not go to jail for it. So that's a big bonus. Cons, it takes time. It's very
Mm.
lonely writing. My wife jokes that when I put on my headphones and I'm writing, I'm under the hood. She can't talk to me. She can't, I'm gone. I'm in a different world completely. And I am. I'm living in the world I'm writing about. And it's very lonely sometimes. I've gone days without, I don't watch any TV or anything. I just get
Wow.
stuck writing. Um, so I have to remember to take the headphones off and go talk to my wife because I love her and she needs a hug now and then, we need some affection. And but yeah, when I get into it, you can get pretty lonely. But the end result, when you write them, I think I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a true story. When I was first starting out as a writer, this black woman came to a convention I was at, and she kept going around my table, around my table, around my table, around my table. And she finally walks up to me and she goes, "Where's Bill McCormick?" And I said, "I'm Bill McCormick." She said, "No, you're not." And I said, "Yes, I am. I have my ID, I have my passport, I have my little badge that welcome Bill McCormick, science fiction writer." And I had all this stuff, and she's looking at me. She goes, "I thought Bill McCormick was a black lesbian like me." And the fact that my writing touched her so deeply that I had to be like her is the biggest
Mm.
compliment I've ever been paid. You
Wow.
know, she
She
read that and said,
resonated with you that much on
"Yeah,
that level.
yeah, yeah." She read it and said, "This guy has to be exactly like me." Um, that is the biggest compliment any writer can get, that you touch someone that deeply that
Mm.
resonates with them. And
Wow.
when I did an interview with this guy Cherry out of Calcutta, and he thought I was a gay Indian like him. He'd read some of my stuff, and he's like, I'm none of these things. I'm just this big goofy white guy in Chicago. But I'm honored that people they read my stuff and they feel like they're with me. And that's the
Wow.
biggest compliment you can get.
Makes sense. And when you talked about the isolation, I would like to ask you, like, do you need any sort of like extra place where you feel tranquility or, to generate the ideas, or you can do it anywhere?
I kind of do it anywhere. I used to go to the library when I was walking better, because I could just sit there all day and type and nobody bother me. Or sometimes kids would have me help them with their schoolwork, which is always fun, help kids out. Um, but as far as it goes, if I've got a laptop or I've got a computer, I can write. I've done it on vacation. I've done it when we were dog sitting for a family. I sat there in the kitchen and just typed and wrote and typed and wrote.
Hmm.
And
Okay. Wow. And if a naive person like me comes up to you and say that I want to be a writer like you, regardless of the genre, what sort of advice would you like to give?
well, obviously, learn your craft first. You can break all the rules later, but you have to know them.
Hmm.
Um, read Strunk and White. Read On Writing by Stephen King. It's a great
Hmm.
book. I'm not a big Stephen King fan, but that is a great book for writers. And just learn your craft. Don't just throw stuff at a wall and learn to do be professional about it. Books need to be edited. They need to have beta readers. I learned so much when I sent stuff out for beta reads when we were getting stuff back. I've had scientists reach out to me and go, no, you can't do it that way. You have to do it this way. And I'm like, oh, so I do it that way and it fixes it and it makes it right. Um, be willing to accept criticism because you're going to get a lot of it. I've already been told that I'm one of the worst writers on the planet, and I've been told that my stuff was a waste of words. And people say some hateful things to you. And sometimes people who have the power to print you or not, editors and stuff like that will say some absolutely horrible things to you. You just have to live with it. You kind of need a thick skin. But
Okay.
more than anything else, hone your craft, learn your craft. Don't just sit there. You can have a good story, but to put it together correctly, to put the grammar together, to build a suspense, to put the pieces together, that's a craft, and you need to learn it.
Hmm. Gotcha. Okay. And like you said about criticism, like how do you deal with it? As you
Yeah,
have been in
I
this,
just ignore it. I
and
just
was it
ignore
the
it.
same when you started your journey?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Uh, People always feel obligated to tell you all the worst things on their mind. When I was doing radio shows, people would tell me what a horrible person I was. When started writing, I wrote nonfiction. I would write a nonfiction story about the truth that would be on part of a radio show, and it would just make people mad. I'm like, you know what? It's on them. They're the sad people that are lonely and angry all the time. Me, I'm happy. I've got a beautiful wife. I've got friends all around the world. I'm doing good. You know, people buy my books. They send me money. I got no complaints in life. And if you want
Mm,
to say bad things about me, cool. Say bad things about me. I'm moving on.
yeah. And like as you are doing something exceptional, people will always judge you when you do
Yep.
something that is not in the norm. So people
Yeah. Oh
always
yeah.
criticize you. So it's a good
Mhm.
thing eventually you are doing something out of the box thing. And nice, nice. I got to learn a lot of things from you. And
Good.
uh, like you said that you always have to have thick skin. So how can a person build that?
It's a bit of an attitude. You just kind of have to develop this attitude like it don't matter, you know.
Hmm.
I mean, some criticisms are good. I've gotten criticisms that help me become a better writer. Like, hey man, you're using this word too much, you're using alliteration too much. Back it off, try something else. That's good criticism.
Okay.
That's someone who's trying to help you. But if someone's like, you suck or you're ugly or the heck with them. Just
Hmm.
I don't need there's nothing for me to gain by listening to that. I
Makes
don't
sense.
become a better person. They just want to be ugly. Let them be ugly.
Gotcha. All right. And how important is for a writer to read books? Like, what is the significance of reading books?
Oh, I know some writers don't, but I'm a voracious reader. I read a lot of stuff, both science fiction and not. Because when you read, you're getting into other people's minds. You're learning how to do other things. You're learning other ways of looking at things. Do I always agree with it? No, of course not. I don't agree with everybody. Lots of things I disagree with, but I learn from them. Become a better writer. Behind me, there's like hundreds of books that there
Okay.
are, on my shelves, and I have boxes in the dining room right now that I need to put someplace when we get a bigger place. But I read everything. That's why I have a library card. I keep it on my keychain, so I never have to lose it. I just think a book and go read it. Um, I read the news, I read books, you learn by reading, you learn by
Mhm.
learn. Reading's a great way to get into somebody else's mind, to see another world, to see another place, to travel without having to get out of your chair. It's a wonderful thing to do. So I read.
Yeah, you spoke volumes, man, and that's why you are such a great orator as well. Like the way you articulate your words and everything, it speaks volumes. So I
Thank
guess
you.
I can learn from you the art of reading and the art of articulating words.
Thanks.
And what are the some unique things about your books, Bill, that makes them exceptional from other science fiction writers?
Well, first of all, the basic premise. There are no human beings in my books,
Okay.
in the writers of Gopri. Um, I wanted to take a look at society, and I wanted to take a look at social mores and different castes of society. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to pull it all apart. So there's not just one democracy or one thing. I pulled it all apart. These people have technology. These people have agrarian lifestyles. These people are bankers. These people are this, that. And then I pulled it all apart, and so I could take a deep look into everything and see how it worked. And could it be beneficial to the world? Was it always harmful? Was it good? Was there good in there to work with? Um, Sometimes people get a little disturbed reading my stuff because it does a deep dive into that. And my stuff is very, very socially friendly. So, LGBTQIA, people of
Okay.
color, people of different languages, everyone gets a representation in there, and both good and bad. And,
Hmm.
so my books, one guy said, it's like finding a world you didn't know existed. And I think
Wow.
that's a good way to look at it.
Wow. That's remarkable. And there are a few movies that I was not able to pursue, like some science fiction movies. I'm not sure whether you have watched it or not. Two movies that come to my mind are of Tom Cruise, that is Oblivion and Vanilla Sky. Have you watched these movies?
I stopped watching Tom Cruise movies sometime around the first Mission Impossible. I just can't handle the guy. Tom Cruise is always playing Tom Cruise. He's always Tom Cruise. There's never a character. There's never anything he does. It's just Tom Cruise being Tom Cruise. And I don't like Tom Cruise, so I don't go see those movies.
Oh, okay. Is it because of that thing that he follows, Scientology?
Oh, the Scientology? No, no, I don't care about that. Um, he wants to spend money on stupid stuff. That's his money. He can go spend it. But I just don't like him as an actor. He
Okay.
just does nothing for me. Like I see, you're never going to see Tom Cruise the villain, Tom Cruise the good guy. He's never anything other than just Tom Cruise. He's always just Tom Cruise. And it's like that's boring. Like Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson can be anything. He's a
Hmm.
joker. He's a lover.
Versatile actor.
He's a consummate actor. B. Arthur in her crime was an actress of wide range and depth, and Scarlett Johansson is coming to that, and Benjamin Cumberbatch, and obviously Chadwick Boseman was a just amazing actor, an amazing talent who could live in that role. Tom Cruise is just Tom Cruise. He can't do any of that stuff, so I don't put my money into him.
Okay. All right. And um, when it comes to science fiction, what is the common notion of the people? Like, what's their mindset towards science fiction?
Science fiction is hope.
Okay.
Science fiction is there's going to be a future. There is a world we will all live in. It might get a little rough around the edges, but there's always hope in science fiction. It's something that, especially in these times, with what's going on in our world today, having a little bit of hope is not a bad thing.
Hmm. All right. And when I do you believe in aliens? Being a writer, I'm like, this is a little bit out of the question. Like, still.
No, that's all right. Do I believe there aliens exist? Yes. Do I believe they're circling our planet every day? No. If you look at a galactic map, you go where the galactic center is, that's where the most planets are. We're Think of that as like Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, okay? We're in North Alaska. We're all the way outside of the galaxy. We're on the edge of the galaxy. Who's going to travel all the way from the center of the galaxy all the way out to the edge of the galaxy just to see us? We're not that special.
Hmm.
So, I mean, just the math don't math. You know what I'm saying? Uh, there's too much time and space between things. There's no reason for them to be here. Um, they could easily do it with a telescope. And if they're 6,000 light years away, they're looking at Earth 6,000 years ago. So all they're seeing is, primitive people walking around trying to build pyramids. There's no reason for them to come here and visit us.
Got it. Wow. I never thought from this perspective. Wow. I'm speechless. What to say? I guess
That's okay.
like too much to digest, and the way you speak and the answers of yours, those are really, hard to digest sometimes. I'm trying to digest.
Sorry about it. No, you got to give people something to think about. That's my job. I'm a writer.
Hmm. And was it your always the dream to be a writer, or that happened like all of a sudden?
I worked in the music industry for years. I worked with some very famous people. Um, I wrote nonfiction for magazines and stuff like that about my trips and different musicians I interviewed and things like that. But like I said, when everything fell apart for me back in 2010, I had all these little stories that I'd been playing with, and I decided I'm going to write them and see what happens. And people started publishing them, and people started sending me money saying, "Thank you for writing this." And next thing I know, I'm a writer, and
Oh,
it's worked out very well for me.
okay. And how can a writer makes it to the Hollywood?
There's so many different ways to get there. I mean, I know one guy, a film company picked up his book in an airport, and they went, "Oh, we want this," and they wanted it. My book was being promoted by the American Library Association through Kirkus Reviews, and this guy read it because of the promotion, and he called me and said, "Let's make it into a movie." Other people, they work with these things like Stage 32 or Voyage blogs, and they go up there and they meet filmmakers, and then someone's interested in what you're doing, talks to you about what you're doing. They can come on board and help you make it
Hmm.
into a film. There's a lot of paths to do it, and I've only named a couple. And then there's like the girl here in Chicago who had I forget the name of the movie. Anyway, she started off and she was promoting it to colleges, and it got the film instructor, one of the film instructors there, to pitch it to a buddy of his in the industry, and it's like, oh yeah, we could do this, and so
Wow.
just got to keep your name out there, keep pushing, and hope someone sees you.
And then the movie that is based on your book, that is the name of that novel is Brittle Riders, right? Brittle
Yeah, the
Riders.
the the Brittle Riders, correct.
Is it gonna be a big movie or like a small
I
movie?
have no idea. Well,
Okay.
it's going to be a big movie just because it's going to cost a lot of money to make no matter what.
Hmm.
Because 10 years ago, you couldn't even make this movie. The science, the cinema technology just wasn't there. I have between the chimeras and the mutant people that I've created to the world that they're living in, to even the shrubberies are different, than you. I have different shrubberies in my world than you have in yours. Um, there's a lot of detail in the book, and so someone's going to have to spend some money to put it all together. I'm not. I'm poor.
Hmm. I'm just delighted that I'm having this thought that eventually it's gonna be a movie. There would be stars in it, and the writer of the movie did a podcast with me. So that thing, I-
Cool.
I'm really blessed to have this podcast with you, man, Bill.
Well,
And
all the way around, the feeling is mutual.
yeah, and I hope that this is not the last one. I'll bother you with some more podcasts with when I don't run out of the questions to ask you. But this was really amazing, man. And on
Thanks
that
for
note,
having me.
I won't hold you any longer, and we'll catch up soon. Take care, man.
All right. Take care. Thanks for everything.